When you alter your perspective on things, the things themselves are altered. Wayne Dyer. In the 1920s, the world of physics was rocked by a groundbreaking theory. The Copenhagen interpretation, put forward by Niels Bohr and Werner Heisenberg, proposed something almost mystical. A quantum system could exist in all its possible states simultaneously until it's observed. It's similar to the well-known Schrödinger's cat experiment, where the cat would be both alive and dead until someone looked. But the narrative doesn't end there. In 1957, Hugh Everett III presented an even more intriguing idea, the many worlds interpretation. He didn't believe in the collapse of realities. Instead, he proposed that all potential outcomes of a quantum event actually occur in parallel universes. Now, picture this. Every choice you make, every coin toss, every thought creates a split in the universe, resulting in infinite versions of reality. In one of these worlds, you might be a billionaire, while in another, you might have missed that chance and be in a tricky financial situation. And the most fascinating part? You're living in just one of these versions, unaware of the others. The heart of the matter is this. Both theories revolve around one basic concept: observation, and this isn't limited to just quantum physics. In ancient spiritual teachings, whether from Buddhist monks, yogis, or mystics, the idea that observation and intention shape reality is a concept passed down through the ages. Now, what if I told you that the way you direct your attention at this very moment is shaping your life, just as it shapes quantum outcomes? What if your power to create the reality you desire was directly linked to your ability to observe and focus? In today's video, I'm going to share how you can tap into this fundamental truth and use your attention to manifest the life you truly want. I'll tell you how I use this to create a life beyond my wildest dreams. So let's get started. First, we need to understand how our attention actually influences the version of reality that manifests. To grasp this, we must understand how energy flows. Whenever you feel stuck in your life, or feel like you're striving for something but it just doesn't happen, it's because there's blocked energy somewhere. If energy can't flow, it needs to find a way to move to avoid stagnation. When this occurs, we end up experiencing the same situations repeatedly, whether they are financial challenges, relationship problems, or something else. But what influences the flow of energy? Attention. Attention directs the flow of energy. Wherever attention goes, energy follows. Our focus and attention determine where the energy flows. There are two main types of attention that we possess: polar attention and non-polar attention. Polar attention has the power to attract or repel realities. When we focus on something, we are attracting that reality while repelling others. Polar attention works in this way, attracting what we focus on and repelling what is not the focus. On the other hand, non-polar attention is completely neutral. It has the power to dissolve realities. In terms of quantum events manifesting in our lives, we can understand this with an example. If we have two types of polar attention, positive and negative attention, the content of our attention is what matters, not its nature. If you are averse to bills and dislike losing money, you are likely to attract more situations where this occurs. Conversely, if you appreciate the idea of earning and growing money, more opportunities for this will arise. Throughout life, we are conditioned to live in a mode of fear and survival, as we have been biologically programmed this way. We were taught to survive first, avoiding any threat to our safety. As a result, many of us adopt a self-protective behavior, avoiding conflicts and risks, which unfortunately ends up attracting more of what we fear. Observe what you see in the news or on social media. There is much more focus on fear than anything else. This is how society keeps us trapped in this cycle. Society, through the media, can manipulate our emotions, such as fear, anger, and pride, and lead us to act in ways we do not always want. This cycle is what keeps many people experiencing the same types of relationships, problems and financial challenges repeatedly because they are focused on avoiding these issues rather than dealing with them neutrally. Many individuals are marked by past events, and this emotional impact can influence how they handle their lives in the present. They may get stuck in patterns, avoiding situations they believe are similar to those they have faced before. That's where neutral or non-polar attention comes in. Let's delve deeper into this. When you face a challenging situation, such as a surprise bill or a problem at work, your natural reaction might be to feel fear or frustration. This is what we call negative polar attention. The more you worry about the situation, the more energy you are investing in it, which can end up attracting more of what you fear. On the other hand, if you simply accepted the situation without judging it as good or bad, a neutral attention approach, it would pass through your life without the negative emotional impact. By not assigning negative emotional energy, you allow the situation to dissolve without further consequences. It's important to understand that life only cares about the content of your attention. If you are constantly focused on avoiding problems, you end up attracting more problems as your attention is directed precisely to what you want to avoid. Imagine you're facing a crucial decision in the business world. If your first reaction is to think about what could go wrong and worry about potential problems, this negative energy will influence your actions and possibly lead to an unfavorable outcome. However, if you focus on the positive possibilities, believing that, in some way, the situation will contribute to your growth, you will be directing your energy towards a more favorable outcome. This means that the way we perceive events in our lives determines the reality we manifest. If we perceive something positively, we tend to create a more positive reality. If we perceive it negatively, we end up attracting more of what we don't want. Now, consider this. Something bad happened to you, like a large, unexpected bill or a financial problem. Your first reaction might be, "This is terrible, and now worse things are to come." But how do you know that? That's just fear taking over. We, as human beings, have a tendency to justify our fears with thoughts about what else can go wrong. This is human biology. When we feel fear, we cling to negative thoughts, trying to justify why we are feeling this way. And the more we cling to these thoughts, the more real they become. When we are in a state of fear, we tend to create scenarios that reinforce that fear. For example, if you receive a high bill or tax to pay, your first thought might be, "What if I can't pay this? What if this leads to even bigger problems? What if I lose my business or can't pay my personal bills?" This type of thinking creates a spiral of fear and worry, which only feeds more of the same. At this point, negative attention begins to influence the content of your reality. If the mind gets stuck on negative thoughts, these thoughts generate negative emotions, which in turn shape the reality you experience. The key to interrupting this cycle is to use neutral attention. If you can look at the situation neutrally, without judging it as good or bad, it loses its power over you. Let's use the example of the unexpected bill. If instead of reacting with fear, you simply accept that the situation happened without adding negative emotional charge, the situation will pass without a lasting impact on your life. Many people resist the traumas and fears of the past, assigning them negative attention. Instead of accepting and processing the experience, they try to escape. And by escaping, what are we essentially doing? Resisting. And as the saying goes, what we resist persists. The more we resist, the more energy we give to the situation, and the more it affects us. A personal example. When I was younger, I was bullied. For a long time, I used this experience as an excuse for my limitations. I thought, I am this way because of the bullying I suffered. And so, this thought kept me trapped in a cycle of victimization. But when I changed my perspective, I realized that that experience could have a positive side. I decided to see bullying as something that gave me strength and determination. This changed the way I saw my story. Now, I can say that I became stronger and more determined to improve because of what happened. This change in narrative allowed me to attract more positivity and success into my life. This all happened because I decided to change the focus of my attention. This transformation is completely in your hands. The way you choose to see a situation is completely under your control. It may not seem like it at first, but when you change the way you see something, you change the reality that manifests from it. Now that you understand how your perception shapes your reality, let's explore how to use this practically to create the reality you desire. I will share Maria's story to help illustrate this idea. When Maria began her journey of personal growth, her greatest desire was to leave her 9-to-5 job and become an entrepreneur. She longed for financial and time freedom. At the time, Maria was working in an engineering internship, following a plan to build a corporate career. However, when she went to work, she saw colleagues who were tired, unmotivated, and had a look of despair. Many were so dissatisfied that they would rather hurt themselves to be able to take time off with some compensation. The environment was suffocating, dark, noisy, full of machines, and with an oppressive atmosphere. Maria knew she couldn't spend the next 40 years of her life in that place. That wasn't life, it was like a prison. So she decided that by a certain date, she would achieve an income that would allow her to leave that job. Her initial goal was to earn the equivalent of what she received in the internship, about 5,000 reais per month. Maria made an agreement with her parents that if she managed to reach that income on her own, they couldn't question her decision to follow her own path. Her parents, like many others, were stuck in the mindset of work hard, have a stable job, and didn't believe it was possible to make money in other ways, such as through the internet. Determined to change her life, Maria accepted the challenge and dived in head first. In January 2019, she began working intensely to achieve her goal. At first, things started to progress. She got her first coaching client and was on her way to reaching 3,000 reais in a month, which was already a significant advance. However, when May 2019 arrived, things started to get complicated. Maria had already decided to follow an unconventional path and announced to her parents that she would have an income of 5,000 reais by the end of May. However, as that date approached, the pressure increased. She was obsessed with the fear of failure. When she spoke with potential clients, her need to close the sale was so obvious that it ended up driving opportunities away. The month of May was a disaster. Maria couldn't close any clients and ended the month earning nothing. This failure was what Maria feared most, and it actually happened. But when it did, something inside her changed. She was already in the worst possible scenario, so what else could go wrong? It was at that moment that, without the weight of the fear of failure, Maria redirected her attention to what she really wanted. In June 2019, without the pressure and anxiety that previously consumed her, Maria achieved her first month with 8,000 reais in revenue. The following month, in July, she reached 12,000 reais, and in August, surprisingly, she made her first month with 20,000 reais. This was the result of a change in focus. Maria let go of the fear of failure and began to focus on what she really wanted to achieve. What this demonstrates is that when you stop resisting failure and direct your attention to what you want, your reality begins to align with that. Positive and negative attention have the same power to attract realities. The difference lies in where you choose to focus. The lesson I learned from this experience is that when you focus more on the fear of failing than on the desire to succeed, you end up attracting failure. However, when you focus on what you really want to achieve, that's what you attract. This change of focus is fundamental to manifesting the reality you desire. Now, I know it may seem easier said than done. Therefore, I will share a technique that can help you apply this idea practically in your daily life. This technique is called Accept and Redirect. It combines the use of polar attention and non-polar attention and consists of 3 main steps. If you follow these steps, you will see that all the negative energy you are directing towards fear and resistance will begin to dissipate. Thus, you will be able to redirect this energy to create the reality you truly desire. Let's talk about how this works. Step 1. Complete acceptance. The first thing you need to do is fully accept the current situation. Remember when Maria was at rock bottom without having achieved her financial goal in May? She accepted the failure. She accepted that her worst fear had become a reality. When you accept something, you are no longer in resistance. And as I mentioned before, resistance feeds negativity. Acceptance is the antidote to resistance. Think of the art of Aikido, a martial art that uses the opponent's strength against them. Instead of fighting the attack, you use their energy to deflect. The same goes for acceptance. You stop spending energy trying to resist what is happening and instead deflect that energy. When you accept the situation, you open space for change to happen. Imagine the worst possible situation occurring in your life. Now accept it. See how even in that situation, life still goes on. You don't need to be dominated by your fears. Acceptance allows you to free yourself from them. Step 2. Identify the positive potential. After accepting the situation, you can start to see it from a new perspective. Often, what seems to be a problem may actually be an opportunity in disguise. If you missed a business opportunity, for example, perhaps this situation is making way for something better. If you faced a rejection, maybe this is directing you to the right path, even if you can't see it clearly yet. I remember a recent situation with my wife and me when we were trying to close the purchase of a house. Everything seemed right, until suddenly the seller stopped responding. At first, we thought they had received a better offer and wanted to back out of the deal. We were frustrated because we had already invested time and energy in that property. However, instead of despairing, we decided to see what that could be teaching us. Maybe that house wasn't the best for us. Maybe the universe was protecting us from something we didn't know. By looking at the situation from this angle, the stress decreased and we were able to open ourselves to other possibilities. Step 3. Redirect attention. The third and final step is to redirect your attention to what you really want. Now that you have accepted the situation and identified a possible positive side, you're in a position of neutrality, where you can choose where to direct your energy. What do you want to create? What do you want to manifest? By redirecting your attention to these positive aspects, you begin to attract realities aligned with your desires. Now that we have analyzed the 3 main steps, accepting, identifying the positive potential, and redirecting attention, let's see how you can apply these steps in everyday situations. The difference with this technique is that it is not limited only to big decisions or extreme situations, such as changing careers or facing financial challenges. It can be applied at any moment of your day. Imagine that you are facing a difficult phase at work. Maybe you are dealing with a complicated project, a tense relationship with a colleague, or constant pressure for results. The first reaction might be frustration, anger, or even discouragement, which is understandable. But instead of letting yourself be dominated by these feelings, you can use the technique of accepting and redirecting. First, accept what is happening. It may seem counterintuitive, but by accepting what is beyond your control, you take away the power that the situation has over you. Accepting does not mean conforming to something undesirable, but rather stopping emotionally resisting what is already present. Next, ask yourself, what positive can come out of this situation? It may be that this experience is teaching you something important, such as patience, the ability to resolve conflicts, or even preparing you for something bigger. Identifying the positive potential does not mean pretending that everything is great, but rather finding an opportunity for growth. Finally, redirect your attention to what you really want. Instead of focusing on the problems or pressure, focus on the result you want to achieve. Maybe you want to develop a specific skill or improve your relationship with your coworker. Focusing on these solutions helps to change the flow of energy to a more positive path. The truth is that this technique improves with practice. The more you use it, the easier it will be to apply it automatically when facing challenges. Over time, you will begin to notice that your reality transforms more smoothly, with less resistance and more aligned with what you really want. It's not about controlling everything around you, but about controlling your own attention and response to situations. That's what defines the path you follow. Thank you for watching and for being part of this community that will grow beyond imaginable. Don't forget to subscribe and like our video.